What's going on, guys, and welcome back once again. Kind of like yesterday, we're going to do a very similar video where we take one of the top meta decks and we build it based off of topping results and using the spreadsheet. Information for the spreadsheet, link for it is down in the description below. The main page you'll see here, we keep track of the decks and how often they top. Today we are going Sapphire, Steel, Wheel, Resist. It's taken up 13% of the meta so far, and it has won a couple of events. You can see our little image here for what we count as a top, because I've said it repeatedly, top 8 in a 10-person tournament is not impressive. Top 8 in a 20-person tournament, again, not that impressive. That's almost 50% of the field. But anyway, lots of good information on this initial screen. Then the major event tops, again, lots of good information. But today we're going to come all the way over to Sapphire, Steel, Wheel. I actually have a little thing to do here really quickly, so bear with me while we just highlight some of the different colors, or the ink cost to split it up and make it a little more viewer friendly. I should have done this ahead of time, but you can see we got our 1-drops, 2s, 3s, 4s, then you get your 5s, 6s, 7s, and higher. So we're going to essentially go through the list and just kind of talk about it. As you can see here, we have how often was it played at 1, 2, 3, 4, how often it's played, and the most common ratio. A quick disclaimer, these are not all of the tops. We saw there was 27 tops, but there is only 6 deck lists here. I don't have the time to go through and process hundreds and hundreds of tops every single week, so I just grab a handful. In say 2 weeks time, we'll probably be closer to like 15 lists, and this will become a more and more refined, more and more optimized list. It just takes a little bit of time to get there. We also have over here our 100% in all the lists. These cards are played at some capacity in every top that we recorded. So once again, disclaimer, these are not all of the tops. We see Fire the Cannons. It's an uninkable 1 cost that can obviously take care of something like a Diablo. Fortisphere and Popsicle are just your draw 1 items for your Hero, for your Tamatoa, things like that. Captain Hook Forceful Duelist was played in one list as well. He pairs up with Mr. Smee very nicely, and it just gives that early board presence to help curb those aggro decks. However, I don't think personally that this deck needs it. So let's go ahead and come on over to our Dreamborn link. We're going to build it. So if it's over 50%, it's going in our deck. And we're going to pick the most common ratio, unless in an instance like this where it is split. So since Baboom, we're going to cheat a little bit. Baboom is being played as well. We're going to go with just 1 Fire the Cannons, 4 Fortisphere, and 4 Popsicle. Essentially, we're going to just build the list based on the information provided. And if we don't hit a clean 60, then I'll go through and make some concessions and changes based on uninkable counts, based on where we're lacking, where our ink curve is, things like that. But for the initial list, we're just going right off the spreadsheet and not really picking our opinions too badly. So in our 2-drop spot, you have Scuttle, Expert on Humans. You can see him right here on the screen. When you play this character, you get to look at the top 4 cards. You can reveal an item and put it in your hand. So a nice little card, basically like your Ariel and Steel Song. However, he's in here for your items. 1 jump ahead you should know is just the 2-cost Song. Uninkable, lets you put the top card of your deck into your inkwell. Mr. Smee not only is a nice, fantastic aggro card, his 3/3 stat line is very impressive. Baboom, like Fire the Cannons, deals 2 damage and gets rid of Diablo. Unlike Fire the Cannons, it is inkable, and that's why it's a 2-cost card as opposed to just a 1. Magic Broom Aerial Cleaner is a nice 2/3 stat line card that gains evasive on your turn, so it can deal with that Diablo once again. It's below 50%. We have Fire the Cannons. We have Baboom, so we're not going to be too worried about this card. Scuttle coming in at 33%. If for some reason we come in below 60 cards, maybe Scuttle finds his way in. 1 jump ahead is at 50%. We're going to count it for this video, 50% and higher. So we're going to go 4 1 jumps, 4 Mr. Smees, 4 Babooms. these deck list videos are not meant to be final products, especially this early in the format. These are just very good starting points based on cards that are seeing success in the current meta. I think that this is absolutely a top tier deck. I think this is arguably, I don't necessarily want to say the best deck, but I feel like it really has a chance to be, and it just needs that little bit of player push because having played both this deck and Green Steel, I think this deck has a huge advantage over Green Steel. So if your locals is filled with Green Steel, try out Sapphire Steel. It's not a deck you can just pick up and do great with, though. It's a deck that you need to put in the time, put in the repetitions, and put in the work to learn it. So Smee, One Jump, and Baboom. Let's go ahead and find them. Looking. One Jump is in here for that. Smee and Baboom. 4 Babooms too. Like, makes sense. Card's pretty good. Fire the Cannons. Like, if we're over 60, Fire the Cannons probably is going to come out, or even 1 Baboom. I think 5 is a bit excessive, but again, we're just going off of the list. Not necessarily what I would play in a true event setting. Going into our 3-drop cards, you know what that means if you're playing blue. Fishbone Quill. No surprise, everybody plays 4 copies of it. Mickey Mouse Detective, unlike the Ruby Sapphire decks where it usually doesn't see play, it has seen his spot in here, and he does come in at 50%. Some other cards that made appearances but are below that 50% mark. Smash, like Baboom, but it does 3 damage. Costs 1 more, but it clears things like your Aerial, like your Queen Commanding Presence, like your I said Ariel or Ursula. That's the one I meant to say first, not Ariel, but it does work on Ariel as well. Rise of the Titans. I don't think locations are prominent enough to play this, and there's another card that we'll talk about if locations are an issue for you. Benja. I get playing Benja. Also the Aladdin, the Brave Rescuer, I think are both decent options for item-based decks. I don't know how I feel about them in this deck, but I don't necessarily think that it's wrong to play them neither. So going off our percentages, we got 4 Quill and 4 Mickey to add into this. As soon as we find them, 3 3s, there's our Quills, and there is our Mickeys. Okay, now we get to move on forward. That's it for our 3s. We're about halfway through our deck, 29 cards, so we can go ahead and build up that back half now. So into our 4 category, we got 4s here, and now we got some more cards to play with, at least percentage wise. Overall it's about the same. Kind of nice how it's 4, what is that, 4 5 5 5. Some of these it's like, oh, 2 1 drops, 6 2 drops, 8 3 drops, and it gets a little sporadic. But anyway, Belle's strange but special. When you have 10 cards in your Inkwell, she can get you 5 when she quests. Pretty common as a 2 of. You don't really need more because Hiram kind of fulfills that same role, as well as the new Aerial Treasure Collector card. Like Fishbone Quill, that Hiram Flaversham is just a standard 4 of. You're going to see it in all of these lists. Grammatala, at one point she was pretty up there. I know the Ruby builds she's more of a 4 of because you really want to see your power cards later. This deck has a lot more draw options. Avalanche is that card that I would play over Rise of the Titans. It's better in the Green Steel matchup, being able to deal with a Bucky on turn 4. And also it does take out locations. However, it is uninkable. Along Came Zeus is going to make the list. It's going to be a 2 of. 2, 3, either way, they get played pretty decently often. So we're going to go 2 Belle, 4 Hirams, and 2 Along Came Zeus. There's our Hiram. We're going to go ahead and grab him right away. There's our Belle. Nice that we're only playing the 2 because she costs quite a bit. And then 2 Along Came Zeus's. Moving into our 5-drop spot, we are 23 cards away. Will we finish it at a clean 60? So Cogsworth, again, it's wheel resist. Shouldn't be too surprising. Cogsworth played 100% as a 4 of in all of these lists. Chen Po, this is a card where he's a 4/7 bodyguard, and do I need to say that again? He's a 4/7 bodyguard. He just protects all your cards. They have to have some form of actual removal to get rid of him. Otherwise, they're going to lose multiple characters into him, especially if you have that Cogsworth. Then the Chenpo will absolutely stick around. I think it's a card that I wouldn't be surprised to see popping up more and more and break that 50% mark as we go further into the format. Kind of like Benja on play Beast Hard-Headed. He's a 4/4. He comes in as 5, but he can quest for a couple as well, and he can get rid of an item when he is played. A whole new world. It is Wheel. One deck actually chose not to play this. The only songs they played, 3 Swords, 2 Let It Go. It worked for them, and I guess, you know, like I said, it worked for them. I don't necessarily agree with it, but at the end of the day, if it works, and I think there's a commercial like that. It's only stupid if it doesn't work. So we're going to go 4 Cogsworth, 4 Whole New Worlds, 3 Grab Your Swords. This deck is just so good too. Like, it gets to play all these crazy cards and ramp you into them faster. We're going to go 2 Let It Goes. And then Beast Tragic Hero actually is not seeing much play. Outside of Emerald Steel, Tragic Hero has not seen a ton of play. Even in Steel Song, this card isn't seeing a ton of play. Amethyst Steel, a little bit, but they also have a lot more draw power. So again, he's not truly needed in those decks at all. So we're going to go ahead, grab our Cogsworth, Whole New World, Grab Your Swords, and Let It Go. There's our Cogsworth. Let it go. If you like these kind of videos, let me know down below. I absolutely like doing them for you guys. So again, just let me know. 4 and 1, 2, 3 puts us at 50. We got 10 cards less. We might actually come in below 60. Also, I feel like it's a good time to mention, well, not only do we have our Patreon giveaway, which is an enchanted rare Tinkerbell, link down below, we are doing a 4K subscriber giveaway for a case. If we can do it by, August 9th, when the LGSs release the set 5 boxes, if we hit 4,000 subscribers by August 9th, we will give away a case of set 5. Don't worry if we don't hit it by then. If we hit 4,000 subscribers by the set 6 release day, guess what? We're giving away a case of set 6. No matter what, at some point we are giving a case away when we hit 4,000 subscribers. It's just a matter of which set do we hit it in, but I think we can do it by August 9th. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, make sure you come back, and we try to do a lot of big giveaways like this. That one, there's just going to be a video that says case giveaway, and you have to comment on that video. No Patreon, no funding, no nothing. All you need is a little bit of luck, and we'll go live and do that wheel and spin it for you guys while we're streaming something. Because Pixelborn obviously won't be a thing. So I'll be streaming something, maybe going over some meta decks, talking about tech cards or like set championship type stuff. But yeah, so right back to the video. We're past our 5s. We're into our 6s and 7s now. So Gaston, another card where Ruby Sapphire, he shined a little bit more last format. This format, kind of fallen out of favor in that deck too. This deck, not necessarily needed. Again, you draw a ton. You don't really need to look for that card late off your Gaston. Your Aerial Treasure Collector, though, 5 out of 6 lists played her as a 2 of. And I mean, it makes sense. She has Ward, and she's often questing for 5 lore. Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, 100% of lists played. Most of them play her at 4. Again, it makes perfect sense. Then we have Cinderella Stouthearted. Lucky Dime is a 2 of. Pretty much mandatory. Tamatoa, this actually surprised me, seeing 1, 2, and 3 as far as playing it at 2, 3, or 4. 4 I feel like is the correct answer. Like, I've had so many games playing a Emerald Steel deck without like Bucky, but it's like a aggro-esque type early. Like your first turns 1, 2, 3, you're kind of putting out like some aggro threats, and it's built to then like 4, 5, 6, like every turn after turn 3, I have very few 1 and 2 drops, so you're pretty much top decking a strong card every single turn. Because I found so many of my games were coming down to where I'm just top decking, and I'm top decking bad cards. My opponent's top decking good cards. I'm like, well, what if we build a deck around top decking? Let's build a deck that just comes out aggressive early, and then by turn 5, like all your 5 ink and higher cards are just really good cards. naturally, Emerald and Steel worked out really well for that theory. That video will be up later next week as well. So Tamatoa, we're going to go with the 4, which, I mean, this is going to put us over 60, but we're going to go 2 Aerial, 4 Tinkerbell, 2 Dime, and 4 Tamatoa. Actually, yep, that'll put us at 62, which is okay because we can go back through our list, check a few things, and see how we want to change it. Got our Aerials, there's our Tinkerbell, we got, 2 Lucky Dimes, and lastly, 4 Tamatoas. Hopefully you got this card in set 3 when he was kind of back down towards $5 because he has doubled in price, and it's just, I guess, unfortunate. Tamatoa, obviously a card that you can play at 3 instead if you really want because, well, a lot of other people did it and they had success. The deck comes in relatively cheap in comparison to some other meta decks. Like the Emerald decks right now are just crazy expensive. Emerald Steel's like a $700-800 deck. So this deck coming in at $275, it's not horrible, right? Like, it's not horrible. Let's see, where are we at here? Let's go to info. See our uninkables, 22. That's a lot. So I'd like to ideally cut two uninkable cards. These Fishbone Quill decks are a little bit different. Typically, I like to be in like 11 to 15 uninkable cards. Ruby Sapphire, Sapphire Steel. I don't mind going in that like 16 to 18, 19 range. We're going to settle on 20, which still higher than I typically like to be, but we're going to go with it. Again, test it out, try it, see how it is. Cut the uninkables down if you want. This is just kind of a collective effort of cards that are doing well in the current meta. Our cost curve is actually pretty good, pretty normal for a Sapphire Steel list. We got 9 1s, then we got 12 2s, then 3s kind of drop, 4s are right there with the 3s, and then these type of decks are usually pretty high in your 5, and then they still have a strong 6+ category too. So let's see what uninkable cards we can cut. Like I said, Fire the Cannons absolutely can go. There's one. Lucky Dime has to stay. Grab Your Swords I really like as a 3 of, but you could get away with 2. Whole New World, that's going to stay. Zeus stays. One Jump Ahead stays. Ariel stays. I guess we're going to go Mickey Mouse down to 3 then. How many others played Mickey Mouse at 3? Where was he? Right there. So out of the 3 lists that played Mickey Mouse, 2 played it at 4, 1 played it at 3. Realistically, we're at 20 now. If we say cut all 3 of the Mickeys, that would put us down to 17, and you can sub in something else. And if you cut a Grab Your Swords, that would put you down to 16 uninkable cards. So this is a list for the video purposes that we're going to do, but if you really want to cut those uninkables down, Mickey Mouse absolutely is the first card to go in this list. And then if 17 is still too much, I'd probably take a Grab Your Swords out and build from there. What other types of cards could you sub in if you're pulling them out? Scuttle wouldn't be a bad option. Pull like 3 Mickey out, put 3 Scuttles in. You can pull out the one Zeus, or not Zeus, the one Grab Your Swords. I don't necessarily think a 4th Scuttle's needed. But even like maybe 2 Scuttle, and then you could put like 2 Benja, or I mean, Grammatala is an option. You can add another Bell. There's a lot of different cards that you can try out and test and see what works. But again, if your uninkables are too high, you don't like 20, Mickey Mouse is the first card I'd take out, and I'd probably put in 3 Scuttle for him instead. And then, yeah, Grab Your Swords would be that other one. And then you're at 16, and this deck at 16 is perfectly fine because you're playing Whole New World, so you can grab a new hand after you dump it, and your Fishbone Quill can get a lot of those uninkable cards out of your hand and put them into your Inkwell and put them to a good use anyway. So overall, let's go ahead and see what the deck looks like now, right? So pulling up the image for you guys, we don't have any 1-drop characters. That's fine. Pretty normal with these lists. You come in heavy like turn 5+, and you can absolutely stomp like those aggro decks and stop them in their tracks. Once in a while, they will get out under you, and you won't have the answers. And that's just something you have to live with. And I mean, that's why people play those decks, because they can steal games, and that's what they're built to do. So we're playing Force Me, 3 Mickey Mouse. Again, you could swap this out for Scuttle if you wish, which would also give you another 2-drop option to get a character on board a little bit sooner. Look for those items, get them a little bit sooner. 2 Bell, 4 Hiram, 4 Cogsworth, 2 Ariel, 4 Tinkerbell, and 4 Tamatoa for our character lineup. 4 Baboom, 4 One Jump Ahead, 2 Along Came Zeus, 2 Let It Goes, 4 Whole New Worlds, 3 Grab Your Swords, 4 Popsicle, 4 Fortispheres, 4 Fishbone Quills, and 2 Lucky Dimes. Again, I actually really like the way this list worked out. Other than, like I said, like 7 times now, I would probably swap Mickey for Scuttle and call it a day. Otherwise, I think that the list actually worked out really good. We did this with Ruby Amethyst yesterday too. I think that list worked out really good. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, not just because you want a potential case of cards, but because we're going to try to do this with every meta deck, right down to things like Mufasa, Tempo, Steel Song, and yes, Bucky and Sisu. However, as the format goes on, we'll get more decks, we'll get more videos, and as you guys can see, Pixelborn may be gone, but we can still try to bring you guys helpful videos. I do have some other actual deck profile things where it'll be my theory, my list, as opposed to just this type of video. But let me know down below what you guys like. Do you like this? Is there something else you want to see? Any feedback is good feedback. Until next time, guys, take care and thanks for watching.